Hello and welcome to Uncut with me, Lucia. So today we are happy to talk to Vivien Schapera. Vivien is a teacher of the Alexander Technique, book author, talk show host, and healer. Her book, The Complete Guide to Crystal Surgery, is the winner of a 2020 INN Book of the Year Award. Vivien, welcome to Uncut with Lucia.
Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be talking to you, Lucia. You've just been a guiding star in my life since I met you. It's about a year ago. I think it's 11 months since I first met you, and you have been in my mind ever since then. It's been extraordinary experience, really.
Yeah, likewise, Vivien, likewise. And today is very special. And you wear so many hats on a daily basis. And you
This
have,
is true.
yeah, it's amazing. I don't know how you have time to do so many things.
I don't know either. I actually don't know either. And when I look back and I see, my one book, Everyday Magic, when I see that I wrote it at the time when I was in the absolute busiest period of my life ever. And I think, when did I do it? When? But I used to get up at 5 in the morning so I could write, or I'd stay up later at night. I had to fit it in, and I had become really good. I'm very good at time management. I read about time management when I was a child. My mother gave me a book called Cheaper by the Dozen, and I loved that book. It was about the man who had started time and motion study, and this concept of using time wisely, as carefully as one spends one's money, has been with me since a child. And that's one of the reasons that I am able to do as much as I do, is because I value every minute of my day. And that has been a magical component of my life, to understand how to manage my time well. And that's why I'm able to do such a lot. That's the one reason. The other reason is I want to. I want to. I love all these things. I love having diverse day. Love having a diverse week, and I love having a diverse life. And so I don't actually use a daily schedule or even a weekly schedule. I work on a monthly cycle in order to get things done. And then inside of the year, I have a seasonal cycle as well. So I might, for 3 months, pay attention to this project, and then the next 3 months pay attention to a different project. And it's all worked in a way like cogs in a wheel, where they have to mesh together correctly. So but I don't understand it either. I don't know how I get it all done and how I manage to do it all. If I try and think about it, I just have to do it.
Yeah, but I see that you are very organized with time. And people say time is money. I think time is way more than money, Vivian.
Yes, because you can get more money, but you can't get your time back.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
get your money back, but you can't. You can't get your time back.
Yeah. And Vivian, I would like you could share with us a little bit about your journey since you came from South Africa.
Well, my journey is so interesting and so extraordinary that I wrote a book about it. And I did mention the book already. It's Everyday Magic. I wrote the first edition in 2002, and then we came out with a an ebook edition, no paperback edition ever. Sorry, an ebook edition in 2020, Everyday Magic. And I wrote the story about my journey and how I came to the USA and came to live here, and all the adventures I've had on the way. And essentially, it's a story about how I've been guided by spirit. I must admit that, because when I wrote the book, I thought I was writing about myself. But after I finished the drafts and I was editing the book, I realized that the spirits had inserted themselves in every single chapter, and that as much as the story was about me and my life, it was also a story about how the spirits are guiding us and participating in our lives. They need us to do certain things so that we can be their mouthpiece or their arms and legs, but that they are continuing to watch over us from the other dimension, but they depend upon us because they can act upon this dimension, but that's not their primary way of operating. And they seldom will affect directly. Their effect is indirect via us. So they need to find people like us who will do their work. And I have been harnessed by the spirits to do their work at the same time as developing my own spiritual being. And I've had to really understand that, because sometimes I have to admit I've been a little bit angry with the amount of work that they've given me, or the way that they've gone about things, as well as the fact that they don't understand money at all. The spirit dimension doesn't have money, so they don't get held back by financial things. And I've had to explain to them in some really cold, hard ways, hey, now wait a second, I've got to deal with money in my dimension. You're going to have to help me with that. And I've had to explain to them. So then they went to a friend of mine who's a very, very intuitive person and is in a lot of contact with the spiritual dimension as well. And they told her to make donations to FourWinds Academy. That's one of my schools. And so she started giving us donations. I said, no, you're lazy. You mustn't tell Anita. She already knows. She's already supporting us. You've got to bring us other support. It was very funny when Anita said, here's a monthly donation for FourWinds Academy. The spirits told me to give to you. What a way to fundraise. Tell the spirits to go get funds. But of course, that's what we're doing all the time when we do manifestation work and any of these things.
Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting. And when you say manifestation, I truly believe in manifestation. And I would like you could tell our audience a little bit also about the Alexander technique and what are its benefits.
Oh, well, the Alexander technique is one of my most favorite subjects. Firstly, I'd like to say that it really not only saved the quality of my life, but I do believe it saved my life, because it just has made such a difference to me. And I will say, when I say it saved my life, I came from a fairly difficult family, a very interesting family, a very interesting parents, and of course all this is in everyday magic. But my brother and I were both born under an addictive star. It's in our astrological charts. And we were actually only born 3 days apart. Not in the same year, 3 years and 3 days apart, I should say. But we were the same astrological sign and in the same part of the astrological sign, being only 3 days apart. And we were both born under an addictive star. And his addiction caused him to die at the age of 37. He didn't commit suicide or anything, but he was in fact murdered, sad to say. But I did not get held captive by my patterns because of the Alexander technique. The Alexander technique teaches you how to change and how to use your consciousness to bring about that change. And it's usually for physical kind of patterns, or psychophysical, we say, because we don't separate mind and body in the Alexander technique. And the mind and body is one being that Alexander called the self, because there's no word in the English language to describe the body-mind as one unit that's indivisible. And it is. What you think is what you get. And the Alexander technique uses that clarity and teaches you how to be very clear in yourself, in your life, in your behavior, in your movements even, with the fact that what you think is what you get. And so the Alexander technique saved me from my own patterns because it taught me how to change. And that is what the Alexander technique is about. It's about what we call constructive conscious control. And actually, it's an irony that tagline, constructive conscious control, because, and you're going to absolutely love this, Lucia, because constructive conscious control is when you learn how to get out of your own way and allow what needs to happen to happen. That's constructive conscious control, is learning how to control your own interfering habits and prevent them from interfering with what life has to offer you. what your own design is, who you are, and you learn how to be your full self in a completely different way from any other method. That is the Alexander Technique. But not only that, the biggest thing about the Alexander Technique is how amazing it feels. It is the most extraordinary experience where the teacher, because I'm an Alexander teacher, and I put my hands on people, and when I put my hands on people, they are actually helping an entire reorganization of both the neuromuscular system and the musculoskeletal system, so that you get this complete change coming over you, and it's experiential. So when you're watching someone teaching the Alexander Technique, although some people find it's interesting, and as an Alexander teacher I can see a lot, but otherwise it's like watching paint dry. And the experience on the inside for the recipient is anything but that. It is the most extraordinary sensation of relaxation and flow. It is a liberating technique. You are liberated from the parts of yourself that you're not comfortable with, and you learn how to take the fluke out of having a good day, for example. Like if you're playing tennis and you're not doing well, you can use the Alexander Technique to pause for a moment and get things to realign, because that's what you've learned how to do. And in fact, that's what a lot of people use the Alexander Technique for, is for athletics and performance, any kind of performance. So while some people may think the Alexander Technique is for back pain, neck pain, headaches, and those kind of things, and it is, and it will help you with those things, but it's also for being super functional and being a great performer. So people use it in the opera schools. You know, the universities have Alexander teachers in opera schools, in the drama schools, in the academies, musicians. They all want Alexander Technique, and they have Alexander teachers on staff in these colleges, and it's part of the training. And so it's quite a big technique. It's quite important.
Yes, and it's like a re-education of the mind and body.
That's exactly what it is. You've got the exactly right word. That's exactly right, Lucia. Re-education. It's a retraining, and you're developing the skills of understanding your own conscious functioning and how you can use your intelligence and use your consciousness to have a better life. I can't think of anything better than that, honestly. And for me, the Alexander Technique has been this long hallway through my whole life, with all these doors that I can open to become other things as well. And I certainly have. So for example, because of the sensitivity that you gain as an Alexander teacher, and it's a lot of sensitivity. I started off sensitive, now I'm super sensitive, but that meant I could feel crystals, for example, and that took me into crystal healing. And from crystal healing, I got into crystal surgery, and that was all taught to me by the crystals and the spirits, not by a human being, although I did work with melody as well. But that training from the crystals and the spirits had already begun. And so it's been a fantastic thing, because the Alexander Technique has equipped me for a bunch of other stuff as well. And it has equipped me well. It's great quality.
Wow, that sounds like fantastic. And you started talking about crystal healing. And
Yes.
for our listeners, and also for myself, what are the origins of crystal healing?
You know, I think crystal healing has been around as long as people have been around. I think that shaman used to discover crystals and would use them in the olden days. And I don't actually know much about the history of crystal healing. I do know that in Melody's book, she's always saying such and such a stone was in the breastplate of the high priest. So that's biblical times, and that is when where the Aaron, who was the high priest in the Bible, he had I'm not even sure what, but he had all these crystals in his breastplate. Now, what that actually looks like, I'm not sure. But I know that there's a list of crystals that were in the breastplate of the high priest. So I know that crystals are biblical. And I know that they've been used in shamanic work as far back as human beings go. I also know that gold and diamonds and rubies and emeralds are considered the most valuable items on the planet. And of course, now it's platinum and titanium and these other minerals. And there's we always say the word universal when we mean global. So I'm going to say there's a global valuing of minerals and crystals and gems. And why we would value a diamond for its sparkly beauty, to have such a high price on something, there must be an intrinsic value as well. I find that intrinsic value in the healing properties of the mineral kingdom. We place the greatest value on these items. It's a fascinating fact to me. What all is in there, I don't know. It's the tip of an iceberg. And I just know that for me, it's the healing properties of the mineral kingdom is what attracts me the most. You'll see I don't have a diamond ring on my fingers. I'm not wearing anything, but my crystals are very important. And this one that I'm wearing around my neck, this is actually danbarite. And danbarite helps me with my relationship with myself. I wear this all the time because it brings me self-acceptance, self-love, self-control. It works on my relationship with myself. And I just clicked now. It's my Alexander stone, because that's what the Alexander technique is. It's about how you are with yourself. And so my danbarite is my Alexander crystal. And I had never thought of that until this moment. How nice. I love insights.
And yeah, and what you're telling me now makes a lot of sense. So we can use crystals to self-heal.
Oh, yes, yes. And to have a better day. And it doesn't have to be complicated. We can just wear them. Look, I'm wearing moonstone earrings. And that's because I need to stay hydrated today because it's become very hot. We haven't had much of a spring. It just suddenly got very hot. And I knew I'd be talking now and we'd get dehydrated when we talk. So I'm wearing my moonstone to help me with that. And that's what you can do. You can put stones in your pockets. Like if you're very anxious, you can take a combination of black tourmaline and rhodonite and put that in your pocket, and one in each pocket, and that will balance you and reduce your anxiety levels. When we had high blood pressure, we took our rose quartz hearts and we used them to bring our blood pressure down, and we could actually measure that with a blood pressure cuff. I might have the rose quartz heart right here. Let me see. Let me just roll back here. Yes, I do. And I've actually got rhodonite here too. So let me show you. This is rhodonite. Isn't that? It's like a wedge. It's like a cake slice of rhodonite. Isn't that amazing and fantastic? Isn't that just gorgeous? And there was a time when I thought I didn't really need to have this stone. I was wrong. I need it. And then this is my rose quartz heart. Look at this lovely, this beauty. Isn't that lovely?
Beautiful.
So it's literally just take that and I just rub my high heart. This is my high heart that you can see in the picture. You can go down lower, you can rub it, and I can feel it bringing my heart rate down even as I'm speaking to you. See, I'm talking more slowly now, and it's making me aware. Yeah, don't rush, speak nicely. I love the way the crystals are so supportive. And you see, I used to see a lot of clients on a daily basis. I mean, at one time in South Africa, I was doing 73 appointments per week. And then you're giving out all that energy. And that's why I love the crystals, because they help you with support your own energy, and they help you with the session. They support the energy of the session. They support the client. It's one of the reasons that I do Alexander technique and crystal healing, because otherwise it's a lot of output with not much input. And this is a great balancing strategy to work with crystals as well.
Mm-hmm. And I was reading just a little bit about crystals and healing, and I read that that clear quartz is known as the master healer. I think it's because it aligns all your chakras. I'm not an expert, so am I right?
You're on the right track, and one of the reasons that clear quartz is known as a master healer is because it comes in many, many, many different forms. And they are all applicable in different ways. So within quartz, there are many, like way over 100, maybe 200 different kinds of clear quartz possibilities. And it's not only quartz with inclusions, but quartz is a master healer, absolutely for sure, because it spans everything in the spectrum, right from beginner to mastery, from simple to complex. It goes everywhere. Quartz is absolutely fascinating material, and what people don't realize is that we wouldn't be speaking to each other right now, Lucia, if it weren't for quartz, because quartz is used in our computers. Now, I don't think they use natural quartz anymore. Now, in World War II, clear quartz was a strategic substance because they needed it for the radio oscillators, and that was how people communicated. Now in electronics, I suspect that they are growing the quartz in laboratories because then they can control it and make sure that every piece is to the exact specifications. But it is still silicon dioxide, and it is learned from natural quartz, and natural quartz was a strategic substance in World War II for the radio oscillators. And quartz is in pacemakers. My watch is a quartz watch. What does that mean? It means that quartz is keeping the beat and keeping it going, and that's what it's being used for in the pacemakers as well. So when people talk about crystal healing, they mean holding a stone and being woo-woo with it. Hey, dudes, it's our technology. We are living in the crystal age, and without crystals and the mineral kingdom, we would be nothing. And I now recently found out that the most biocompatible metal is titanium, and they are using titanium to make new heart valves, to do, if you look up the biocompatibility of titanium, you will see in every part of your body they are using titanium as the replacement substance when your own body tissue has broken down. So crystal healing is the most advanced medical technology that we have. Our knee replacements and hip replacements and our heart pacemakers, in laser therapy, it's a ruby that focuses the laser, and it's very complex. You know, the tube for a laser, a medical laser, has to be exact measurements, and then the ruby has to meet the exact specification. The light comes through the ruby and gets focused in a very specific way, and then you can do surgery without cutting somebody. And that's what I'm doing in my crystal surgery, is very rudimentary versions of ruby lasers, but they work. It works as well. And I have these wands that I've designed with very specific stones in them. I'm going to get you a wand and show. Let me show you. Here we are. See, this is a wand over here that's made. This is white apophyllite on this end and metamorphosis quartz on this end, and this is very specific for healing. So you get the white light over here, and metamorphosis quartz is a very layered quartz, and it helps with getting healing to happen in layers and to get the layers to heal correctly, because sometimes people don't realize, like say you cut your lip and you cut the vermilion border over here, you got to make sure that the lip heals correctly, and that's why they'll put stitches in to make sure that the layers of skin heal correctly with each other. That's what stitches are sometimes for in surgery. Well, this metamorphosis quartz will make sure that the layers heal correctly and knit up correctly, because you don't want it to go like buttoning up incorrectly, where that layer heals with that layer. You want that layer and that layer and that layer to heal together. And so you can monitor these things using crystals, and I do. That's what I do in my crystal surgery. I use the crystals as tools the same way as a surgeon uses his scalpel and whatever and does stitching and so on. I do all of that with the crystals.
Wow.
I
Vivien,
know, it is a wow. When I think about it, Lucia, when I think about it, I think, really, is this what I'm doing? How did this happen? Because it kind of overtook me. I didn't ever decide, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this thing called crystal surgery. You know, it cracks me up because on YouTube they want to accuse me of just making up stuff. It's like, do you think I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on these wands so I can make YouTube videos?
No way.
Because you know how much we get paid for our YouTube videos is like 5 cents.
Oh,
It just
no.
cracks me up. I think it's hilarious. But when I look at what I'm doing, I mean, I'd also have a reaction because I'm very academic and I'm trained in the sciences, and so I also think, really? Are you making claims or what? But you see, Lucy, it works, and when it works, you just keep doing it because and when people want it and they need it, and the miracle stories that we're getting are phenomenal, just phenomenal. I have one of my students, she just reported to me that this woman she's working with had not worked for 11 years. She had not walked for 11 years. She probably hadn't worked either for 11 years. And she's walking again. Not only is she walking, she's exercising.
Wow.
11 years of not walking and she's exercising. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely
That's
fantastic. And then she's also working with the autistic son. The autistic son is interacting differently. When he hears that it's time to go out, he goes and gets the shoes for both of them and puts them at the door, ready for them to go out. And he was very, very poorly functioning. And his functioning is improving. So, you know, so think about how some people just get slammed where this woman, she was in a car accident and didn't walk for 11 years off since then.
it's
And
a
then she
lot.
also has an autistic son. I mean, it's like these are awful things that happen to people. But some people, and we also go through bad cycles. So some of us, we go through difficult cycles in our life where we needed a lot of extra attention on ourselves, and some people just have much more difficult lives in general.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to have a way to help people like that. And what I like about those stories is it's not just me doing it. So it's not just me able to do something. It really is the crystals being used in a technical way. And that's what I teach people to do. How to use crystals systematically in quite a technical way in order to get these kind of effects. And they are consistent. It's consistent. If I
Mhm.
teach you to do it with the correct tools, you'll get the same results as I do.
Amazing. And
Yes.
you have a talk show, you and your husband, Neil,
Yes.
you have this Schapera show and you teach this crystal healing, you do surgeries. What is your show about? What kind of guests you receive there?
On the radio show, the Schapera show, I'm looking for interesting stories. So, for example, the woman that I just told you about, she actually healed herself of blindness. And that's why I asked her to come on the show because I wanted to do a theme of healer, heal thyself. And this particular woman healed herself of blindness. She had either multiple sclerosis or Davix, and the doctors didn't give her much hope. And so she healed herself. And during the time that she was healing herself, when she was able to walk again and when she had her sight back, she also discovered me and then asked us to train her, and actually Neil helped me with that. So she was a guest, and on our radio show host, I'm looking for a guest with an interesting story. Most have written books, but not everyone with an interesting story has written a book. I'm after the story that has meaning for the listener. I'm not necessarily after only authors and so on. So real life adventures as well as authors and their information, authors and experts. I'll do a guest interview, but then there's another two components to the Schapera show. The one component is that Neil journeys to the spirit realm and he brings back extraordinarily helpful information that helps us with our lives. And that is an 8-minute segment on the show. And he talks about that. And it's so soothing. It is so soothing to just listen to these messages from the spirits, because you do feel this completely different perspective as well as the usefulness of the information. And that's really wonderful. And Neil is such a genuine shaman. He is so amazing. I I just I'm always so impressed. And then I think, oh, it's because you're married to him. And I said, no, no, because I'm married to him. I don't like the mess he makes. That's not what makes me impressed with him. What makes me impressed with him is the sheer quality of his work. He's so authentic, he's so genuine, and he's no good at self promotion. So I have to promote him a little bit and let you all know that Neil is absolutely amazing shaman, the real thing, who's had amazing experiences, very accurate. He also does soul retrieval. It's unbelievable what he sees, what he picks up on. It is just, it's very moving. It's very moving, and the work is very profound. And then after he presents his segment, I present again and I give messages from the crystals. And I usually interview one crystal and get messages from the crystal for the listeners. But you know what? Those messages are very good for me as well. And the most recent one that I did was about orange calcite. And the orange calcite began in Lucia when I listened to the crystals, because I have to admit I can talk to crystals and I can hear them, and that's one of the ways that I have learned how to do crystal healing and crystal surgery. But listen to this insight that the orange calcite gave me. The orange calcite told me, it started off with the interesting thing about emotional pain is how much it feels like physical pain. And it was like, I sit down and I look at the sentence and I start thinking about it and I go, that is exactly right. When we have emotional pain, we feel it as a stab in the chest. We can feel it as an ache. We can feel it in all the same ways as we experience physical pain. It's indistinguishable. Well, that gets us right back to the Alexander technique, doesn't it? Where Alexander has explained this is all about the self. You can't divide the pieces up. And so there it is. Emotional pain is indistinguishable from physical pain as an experience. It's coming from a different place, but our bodies experience it in such a similar way, and it affects us in such a similar way. So if you're doing repetitive stress, you can do it with a joint on muscles, but you can also do it emotionally. And we do. It was just fascinating to have orange calcite point out this thing. It's not that I didn't know it. It just wasn't as clear and neat and straightforward. And it was like this sheer fact, just being confronted with it. And I've had to think a lot about it and what I'm going to do about that for myself. Because I too, like everybody in the world, I've had a lot of emotional pain in my life. And now I realize, after speaking to orange calcite, that pain could still be sitting in my body, causing me issues, and I need to take a look. And I maybe need to do some crystal healing on myself, or ask one of the people that I have trained to do some crystal healing on me to address this. And that's one of the things we need to remember. We need to remember to pay attention to ourselves and to use what we know to benefit ourselves. And that's something that I must remember as well. And look, I just said, healer, heal thyself. I wanted that theme on the radio show, and look, I got myself right back there to that insight, didn't I just? Oh, there we are, the magic of life.
Yeah, the magic of life. And what are your next goals, Vivien? I'm sure you are not going to stop here. No.
No, I can't stop here because the greatest thing has just happened. I've got this amazing opportunity that I know you know about, Lucia, but let's just share with everybody that we're going to start a new streaming TV network. And I've been asked by the founder of this new streaming TV network to take a whole channel. And I am going to have the health and healing channel. And we're going to put heal back into health. We're going to put that word heal back in health with the information that we share. And we're going to have a few different contributors to the channel, not just me, because I want I have a vision. I had a vision many years ago, FourWinds Academy. It was actually the spirit school where I needed to train 4 subjects: train people in these 4 subjects to become healers: shamanism, intuition, crystal healing, and energy healing. Now, those are the 4 main subjects of FourWinds Academy. Well, on the health and healing channel, we're going to go broader, but we're still going to have those topics as well. And we are going to get information to people that is uplifting and hopeful and helpful. We're going to have information, we're going to have entertainment, and we're going to have even some instructional courses as well. For example, I just met this young man who teaches meditation, and he has his video material already, and I'd like to include him as a contributor on the Health and Healing channel. And these are the kind of things we want to go after. I would like to give some Alexander technique demonstrations and help people, because not everyone can reach an Alexander teacher. And I would like Neil to do some shamanic presentations on the Health and Healing channel. And Lucia, I know that you know already that I want your information and your wonderful videos on the Health and Healing channel, and a few other people as well, that people will get to see if they come to Everyday Women's Network and come to the Health and Healing channel. And this hasn't launched yet, it doesn't exist yet, but from September 2022, I expect that the Everyday Women's Network will be up and running, and the Health and Healing channel will be the fantastic channel there. And it's a dream come true for me, because I really want to help people, and this gives me a mouthpiece for reaching a very wide audience. And anyone who wants access to this kind of information and wants to learn what is helpful for them, what is healing for them, what is uplifting for them, what is hopeful, what will bring peace into our hearts, what will develop us spiritually, we want all of that on the Health and Healing channel on Everyday Women's Network. That's my new vision. It's the thing that I'm working with now. My personal mission is to help people develop their potential. I think that our greatest resource here on earth is human potential. And in order to access our human potential, we must also understand our spiritual nature, as well as find our best ways to be human. And so that's my personal mission in life. And I want to help people develop their potential, and to have this opportunity to reach more people and empower other people to reach more people. I mean, it's a dream come true. It's not all about me. I don't even care if I'm not there, as long as people are helped, as long as what I'm doing is helping people and they're getting something they need and want, and it makes the world a better place. It just means the world to me. That's really what I want.
You are so special, Vivien. You are very special. What you are doing is something that I cannot even say, because it's so beautiful. And I just wish you can keep doing it, keep shining. And yeah, we'll be together.
Yes, Lucia, because when I met you last year, then the Spirit said to me, take note of this person. In that moment that we met and we talked, it was a meeting of souls, wasn't it? We immediately felt each other and felt this is something important for both of us. And the Spirit said to me, take note of this person. Little did I know who you were. It was based on our encounter of person-to-person encounter. And then I see what has unfolded, because your work is so excellent, just excellent. When you see how well your podcast does, and you see who you get as guests, and you see the work that you're doing, Lucia, I understand now why the Spirit said to me, take note of this person. They knew what was coming up in 2022. I didn't. They knew, and they said, now take note of this person, and I did. And so then Tony made that offer for Everyday Women's Network. You were right there at the top of the list with another woman, Valeria Koopman, who also does excellent work. And I'm sure that you will get a chance to portray each other as well. She's also a wonderful podcaster and does amazing work. And it's so different from yours, but also so excellent. So I want us all to come together and put together quality experiences. I want for people to experience something when they perceive our work, when they watch our video presentations. The
Mhm.
experience is everything, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you, Vivien. Thank you for your wise words, your good energy, for your time, for your kindness, just for being you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
I feel so touched. It's always so wonderful to speak to you, Lucia. Thank you very much. And you touch my heart in a way that is very, very special.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to our listeners. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, Vivien, to talk with you.